To enter an invoice on Midas, we navigate to Accounts Payable and enter Invoice. If your production is using batches, you will be presented with the option to enter in your batch. If you're not sure of the batch, we can query the system and select the batch. If your project is using multiple currencies or multiple companies, you would see this presented here. We are now presented with the invoice entry screen. Anything highlighted in blue is mandatory, and anything that's white can be changed. If you need to query the system for your creditor code, we can do so by entering a question mark and tabbing forward. If your supplier is not listed, we can create a new supplier record by using the new option down below, and we can take the details from our invoice and create a new supplier record. If you know the supplier creditor code, we can enter and select, and if there are any purchase orders attached to that supplier, they will be presented. These are posted and approved purchase orders. You can select one or multiple lines and bring them into the invoice entry screen. In this record, I'm going to enter in a reference number from the invoice. I'm going to leave my due date, my invoice date. I'm going to change my invoice amount, and I'm going to enter a short description. If you want the payment to go into a future period, we can select that option, and we can also select to hold the check by default. We can now go and continue to edit the line items of the purchase order. If you want to change the account number, we can change or query the system and bring forward the account number that is required. If your project is using episodes or locations and sets, you will be presented to populate this data. If you're unsure, we can query the system and select what is required. If your project is using free field tagging, again, if you're unsure of what is available, we can query the project and select the items or multiple items that are required. We can change the description if required, or we can flag an item as an asset. If you're unsure of the VAT codes that are available, we can query the system again and choose the correct VAT code. If at any stage you want to change or amend or delete a line, we can right-click and choose one of the three options that are presented to us. If you want to add an additional line without using that option, we can just tab forward and a new line will be created for us. I shall delete this line. If you want to open the chart of accounts from this window, we can do so by using the chart of accounts option down below. And if we want to open up the creditor record to review to make sure the details are correct, we can open up the creditor record and amend any details that are required. Or if you want to search the project to see if this invoice has already been paid, we can query by using the Find option below, and by using one of the sets of filters presented, query to see if this invoice is already paid. In this instance, I am going to check to see if my invoice number 123456 has been paid previously for supplier access bookings. As you can see, there is no invoice for that supplier listed. If you're happy and want to save your invoice and your transaction, you can do so by clicking Save below. If your invoice does not balance, you will get this invoice message. You need to review the details in order to make sure that your invoice is balanced. If your invoice is balanced, the to be allocated fund down below will be sit at 0. We can now save our transaction. If you would like to enter an additional transaction, you can do so by clicking Yes and calling up the next invoice entry screen.